Live on your radio station, it's Real Talk Radio with Dan Lane.
All right, everybody. So it's starting to capture the eye of the legacy media about Kamala's absence, if you will. She hasn't done a presser in 3 weeks. She's held a couple of rallies. The last one didn't go over too well because she blatantly plagiarized on Trump's no tax on tips policy, and there was a couple of dozen rally attendees that got up and walked out. That's not very good for her. You may wonder why she's being kept silent. That's because every time she opens her mouth, she destroys herself. She is damaging to her own campaign. On top of campaigning against herself, she starts saying outlandish things. And the legacy media, of course, is starting to take notice. But like, when are you going to do a press release? When are you going to go over your policies? When are you going to articulate your policies? Because she doesn't have any. I mean, what do we know about Kamala? And I've said this in previous videos, the more people know about her, the less they're going to like her. They know that. That's why they're keeping her so quiet. I would actually love for Peter Doocy to get a hold of her. That would be legendary, but I don't think that'll ever happen. I'm kind of leaning toward the possibility that they're not going to let her debate Trump because despite what the left says, oh, she's going to mop the floor with Trump. I have no idea what you think she's going to mop him with. I mean, she doesn't have anything. The felon thing? Oh, I'm a prosecutor. Let me tell you something. When she starts bragging about her success as a prosecutor, she's going to look exactly like she did in 2020. And I find that the left doesn't know Kamala. They had no idea that she campaigned in 2020 and dropped out after Tulsi Gabbard destroyed her. And she left with a favorability rate of 1%. She was the lowest possible candidate. Joe Biden, of course, picked her as his VP. The left threw a fit about it. Now, all of a sudden, it's hands on decks for Kamala. Oh, we got to push this up. This is the revolution of women. Oh, get off that. Nobody's buying that shit. First of all, the ones that do buy this dumb shit, they don't matter anyway. They're spite voting. Anything but Trump. They could be standing in the middle of a nuclear fallout and be like, well, it's still better than Trump. They're not intelligent people. And when you vote and you're not voting for policy, you're voting for the character, it makes you an unqualified voter, like Socrates said. Oh, good God almighty. So we know what her policies are. So far, she wants to take away assault weapons. She wants to give immaculate health care to illegals, which, you know, as borders are, you would think she wouldn't even be thinking in those terms, but she is. And that just shows you that she's going to be a do-nothing president in terms of immigration and the border. What else has she got? What are you guys voting for? I know you're voting for war. Maybe you didn't know that, but you are. See, Trump has come out and blatantly told everybody what he wants to do. Democrats, I think, are focused more on Congress. They want to get as much seats as they can so they can obstruct his agenda, so they can say, look, he promised this, but he's not doing anything. Well, we know he doesn't want war. He has said that he will stop the Ukraine and Russia conflict. He will bring down tensions in the Middle East. I don't know why anybody wouldn't want to vote for that. It seems to me like if you're one of those vote blue no matter who idiots, then you should be ready to go over there and get blown up. And your kids and your nieces, nephews, and grandkids and all that. If you're voting for that shit, be prepared to send them off. Because right now, our military is weak as fuck. We sure can't be participating in a world war. I can tell you that right now. They're going to reinstitute the draft. It's been talked about over and over, kind of behind the scenes, but it's been talked about nevertheless. That's something to think about. But no, they're doing with Kamala the exact same thing they did with Joe. Now, Joe, they had a legitimate excuse. You had the COVID thing. Joe was like, oh, I don't want to get anybody sick, man. And he had like a dozen people show up at his rallies. But there's absolutely no excuse for Kamala. I mean, I know they're pandering a monkeypox pandemic. That's going to probably be something in the not too distant future. Well, you got to stay home. But she's an absentee. She's campaigning against herself. She doesn't have any real issues that she's touching base on. I mean, she hasn't really addressed inflation. She spent 20 minutes up there telling us all about what it is, which is exactly what it isn't, and offered no solutions to it whatsoever. Every time she speaks, she destroys herself. You might remember that Detroit rally or little gathering where some pro-Israel people were up there a little upset, and she started doing the white Indian black woman thing. Like, I'm talking. You know, she can't handle the crowd well. She can't handle hecklers. She can't speak. She can't articulate herself very well. I mean, she's essentially a younger version of Biden. That's all she is. And you're not going to get anything from Kamala. Nothing. You're going to get more of what you got right now. The funny thing is that the stuff she's saying and blaming all happened under her watch as VP. And she has the power to go in and start making moves, but she's not going to do that. She says, you got to elect me first. She's already in office. This is what I don't get. She's in office already. Does anybody else see this shit? I mean, what? No, but I think the media is going to start running with this. She better come out and do a presser quick. If she doesn't, the media is going to start calling her out. They're going to be like, hey, where are you? Trump's over here. He's doing pressers. He's doing rallies. He's constantly in the spotlight. I think Trump and voters, on both sides of the aisle, need to start calling her out. Don't just hide. Well, I mean, what are you hiding from? You say you're going to do something, get your ass out there and do it. But we know she's not, because she's a delusional, psychotic, cackling candidate that was a desperate pick, and not by the voters.